Welcome to this video. So, in this video, I want to review the Launchkey Mini. I think there are a lot of review videos for it, and I want to specifically talk about how I use it for live looping in conjunction with LK in the iPad. So it's going to be a review of how it works with the iPad. There are even some reviews online, video reviews of how to use this, how it works with EOS and the iPad. But I want to, talk about some more specific things for it. So let me just check that this thing is live and it's working. So, no, this is, how do I know if I'm live? Do I go here? Oh, select profile. Yep, it says here I'm live. And I think there's audio. All right, so I think there's audio in this thing as well. So, yeah. Let's just get into first. Let's start. Let me start by explaining how I connect the Launchkey Mini to my iPad. This is an 2020 iPad Pro, 11-inch iPad Pro. So it has a USB-C port, and I use a cheap, very cheap. I think it costs like something like $10 or $20 on Amazon, and it's just an adapter. It has a USB. Let me bring it more into the camera. So it has a USB port on it, a normal USB, or I think it's called the USB-A port, and it has an HDMI output as well, and you can charge it. I don't really like to charge it while I'm using it because I'm not sure that that it delivers what the iPad needs. But it works for, to connect things like the MIDI controller and also the audio interface. It works perfectly. So I also have a launch control connected to the iPad right now, and the interface that is sending the audio from the microphone into the iPad, and also sending the audio out. And so yeah, I think cheap adapters like this do the work. I just wouldn't use them to power to charge the iPad as well. And so yeah, I also have a USB hub, an Anchor powered USB hub that's been with me for almost 3 years now, and it has 7 ports, so I can connect a lot of stuff to my iPad. That's why I connect things to the iPad. Since the USB-C thing came out, it's easier and cheaper than when we had to use Lightning. There are a lot of videos out there, especially the ones by Jacob Hack, are really good, that explain how to connect things if you have an iPad with a Lightning port. He even has one that is really cool where he talks about how to, well, not how to, more like how much power the iPad can output, the ones with Lightning, because there was like a limit on how much milliamps it could deliver. So you can really power a lot of things. I think with this, with the iPad Pro, 11-inch 2020 iPad Pro that I have, I've been able to power the interface and the launch control and the Launchkey Mini, and I've used it at least 2 hours, and it was good. I mean, the battery drains a lot faster if you're powering your devices from the iPad as well, but it works with the new ones, with the ones that have USB-C, the USB-C port. But okay, so after that is covered, that's how I connect stuff to my iPad. I want to talk about the Launchkey Mini. So Launchkey Mini is a 25 key controller, MIDI controller. It also has 16 pads. That these are velocity sensitive. You probably know all of that if you have already checked videos on the Launchkey Mini. But yeah, they're velocity sensitive, and this was sort of like, I'm not sure if it was like completely created to be used with Ableton Live, but it has a lot of things that work very well with Ableton Live, like this capture MIDI button, and the clip. You can also use this to launch clips or scenes in Ableton Live. But it's a really good controller just by itself. It also has MIDI Out, and it's a TS connection. Unfortunately, they switched from the, like, if you have the mark, I don't even know what mark Launchpad Pro I have, but it's a very old Launchpad Pro that I have, and it came with the converter from these TS MIDI connections to the 5-pin DIN thing, but it's not compatible with this. I think they have like a different. There are two types of TS MIDI converters or adapters, and they are not compatible. So yep, you can also use it to use if you have a compatible adapter. You can use it to control synths, hardware synths, and it has like a strip for pitch and another one for modulation. Right now, I have it here. It is controlling noise, the noise app from Broly. Also a drum app for also from Rolly, the noise drum. Model D, pads from Clefgren, and so I just have this 4 tracks and the noise, the Rolly noise app. So I just have these 4 apps or these 4 synths being controlled right now by the Launchkey Mini. And it's really cool. It's very easy. I like it. I think this is the easiest. It's the controller where you can change MIDI channels like super easy to just click Shift Transpose, and this is channel 1. This is channel 2, 3, etc., etc., etc. So you can switch MIDI channels like super fast with this ones. So if you have, let's say that you have a, actually let me add another synth right here. Let's use Tynes, also by Clefgren or Clefgren. Okay, so let's so if you have you load up a synth in AUM. Okay, let's backtrack a little bit. So I use AUM for most of the live looping things I do. So, and also for some music production, I like to do stuff in AUM, record it. It can record it into AUM, and then I can export it to Aria Pro for some extra mixing and EQing stuff. So, sorry. All right. So, how you tell AUM that it should get the MIDI from the controller and send it to this specific synth is you click on the three lines next to the synth logo, and then you have you can see all the controllers available. You can also have apps that can control that synth. And then almost at the end of the list, you have the hardware controller. So in this case, I have the Launchkey Mini, and it has 2 ports, like the DAW port. I think that's the one that is used for Ableton Live. So you can choose the MIDI port, and then you can control the synth. Now, since this one is already controlling what's his face? The noise drum app from Rolly. Now it's you can hear both sounds. We can filter that in AUM. Right now, what I have to do, because I have kind of I already had LK loaded up, so first I have to tell LK to only get MIDI from channel 1. So at the one more time, let me do that. So you click on the 3 lines next to the synth or app that you want to control, and then after all the controlling apps and hardware stuff that you can have, it has the channel filter. And in this sorry about that. So yeah, you can't really see it on the screen, but this has like the 16 channels. So we usually to filter that, you can just click on none and then choose the specific channel that you want to control that synth. So right now LK is only going to get MIDI from channel 1. And if I switch channels, LK is not getting MIDI, so it's not sending MIDI to any of the other 4 apps that I had already mapped to be controlled by LK and the Launchkey Mini. So yeah, and then we're going to tell Tines to only get MIDI from channel 2. So that way, if I switch channels in the controller, I can no longer control Tines. So that's how you filter channels. Now, let me explain how I set up LK. So first, I load LK. Actually, let's do it from scratch. Okay. I haven't found a way to share the iPad screen to OBS without the sound getting all weird. So maybe I'll do another one on this with how to set up LK with directly from a screen recording. So yeah, first in a MIDI channel, we want to load a LK. All right, so now it's loaded. And you can see that the Launchkey Mini detects a clip there. So let's go ahead and delete that clip, and you can see that the Launchkey Mini forgets about it. It gets deleted also in the Launchkey Mini. Now I'm going to add, since I have 4 synths that I want to control with this, I'm going to add another track. I'm going to add 4 tracks. Total. I added a scene instead of a track. So now I have 4 tracks. And let's add some more scenes just in case we need to use them or we want to use them later. So right now, LK is not getting MIDI from the controller. So we can only, right now as it is, we can only control Tines because that one's getting MIDI from channel 2. But we have to tell LK to get MIDI from the Launchkey Mini. So we can do that the first way I told you, like you click on the 3 lines next to the app, then choose the controller. Or if you have the GUI of the app open, you can also click on this squiggly thing. I know you can see it, I'm sorry, but at the top of the GUI window, you have some icons, one that looks like a keyboard, one that looks like a snake thingy, another one that looks like a mixer thing, and a folder icon. So let's use the snake squiggly thing. And we can also see the list of available controlling apps or hardware for this. So let's choose Launchkey Mini and the MIDI port, not the DAW port, and the MIDI port. So now LK is getting MIDI from the Launchkey Mini. Let's do that one more time because I forgot to tell it to only get MIDI from channel 1. That's done. Now, the amps are still not going to get any sound, even though I am in channel 1, because what I want to do is that now that I have that set up, I want LK to send MIDI to this different 4 synths that I have. So to do that, let's go to, let's start with a noise drum app. Now we're going, instead of choosing a hardware synth to control it, we're going to use LK. LK has 4 different outputs, MIDI outputs. That's really cool. But we're only going to use the first one in the list. And then we're going to tell it to get the MIDI from channel 1. I already had that set up here, so we don't need to change that. And then in Model D, I'm going to tell it to get the MIDI from the LK app, and it's already mapped to channel 2, or filtered to channel 2. And then in the pads synth, I'm going to do the same. Select LK, and the channel's already filtered. And finally, the noise melody from Rolly. Sorry, I tend to, instinctively go to the hardware controllers, but let's do LK here in this case. And it's already filtered too. Now that that is set up, we can control the synths. But since there is no ARM tracks in LK, that's why we're not getting audio from, or the other synths are not getting any MIDI. So let's choose track 1. I just armed track 1. I wish you could see this. But there's a circle. I wonder if I could change like switch, because I can also broadcast from the iPad. But now that that is armed, channel 1 is armed, I can control the app that is getting MIDI from channel 1, which is the noise drum. If I arm channel 2, I get the Model D one. Channel 3 is the pads app, and channel 4 is the noise melody app from Rolly. Noise melody, noise drum. It's the noise app from Rolly that controls melody. I don't know. It's the noise app. All right. So that's really cool and everything. And then this is where I love the Launchkey Mini integration with LK, because if I press the record button on the LK Mini, I can see that I have 4 tracks available to be armed. And then if I arm the first one, I can control the drums. If I arm the second one, now both the second and the first track are armed, so I'm gonna get 2 sounds out of it. So it's just disarm the first track, and that's just Model D. Disarm the second one and arm the third one. That's pads and noise melody. So yeah, you don't need to have the LK GUI open to do that. That's really cool. And this is where I absolutely love the Launchkey Mini integration with LK. Imaginando or Imaginando are awesome, and they did this matrix thing in LK, which is like a clip looper or a clip recorder thing, like the one that you can find in Ableton Live. I'm sure I'm sure there are better videos than this one to explain that. But I do live looping, and this is sort of like something that everybody likes to do at some point, which is to loop MIDI. And there is a Bastel device that can record MIDI, and you don't have usually one thing about looping MIDI is that you have to pre-select how many bars or how many bars or beats you're going to loop, to record and then loop. Let me drink some water. Man, I hope I'm not infected. Sorry. So yeah, in LK, in Imaginando's LK app, you don't need to pre-select or to preset the number of bars that you want to record. You can just record as many bars as you want. Sort of like audio, looping audio in Quantiloop, Loopy Pro, and all those apps. So this is really awesome. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set a loop in Quantiloop to sort of like get the tempo going, and then I'm going to start looping with LK, Imaginando's LK, using the Launchkey Mini. It's so weird. Okay, let's do it manually. I was using a foot switch that I think I have to replace as well. There are so many things I need to replace, but there are so many. Okay, so let's just... Oh no. One more time. It's not perfect, but I can use it. So let's arm the drum. So that's looping. And a cool thing about MIDI or looping in MIDI is I could change the sound. And the pattern or the notes that I played are still there. So now let's arm track 2. I'm gonna delete that, and I'm gonna like using the transport bar in AUM. I'm going to know where the first beat is. And I can, like edit the sound of the synth a little bit more. Yeah, so that's another advantage of MIDI too. You can change the sounds. Or it's the same advantage, I guess. And let's arm this. And I can overdub. that. You don't have to like what I just pressed. This pad that wasn't needed. So and I can do that with LK closed as well. Let's just open it because I wanted to delete that other track. Okay, so let's stop. If I press the play button on the Launchkey Mini, it stops, which is cool. And it's not quantized. That is great too. Anyway, no. Okay, I didn't know that. Like, I didn't know that it wasn't. I hadn't noticed that it wasn't quantized, and that if you rewind, I don't know, reset the transport in AUM, it restarts the loops from the clips. All right. So now with this sound, I'm going to use the Arpeggiator in the Launchkey Mini, which is really something that I really like about it is that I'm unlike I never got the Akai one, the Mini MPC Mini, the Mark II. I never got it to get clock from AUM, and this one, it's gold. Okay, first let me get rid of as you can see, that is like sync to the tempo of my AUM project. So let's go. Let's say I like that, so I'm just gonna loop it. Now, if I don't want to stop the whole thing, I just want to stop some clips, I can do this. I can press the stop solo mute button, and when it's red, it stops. When it's blue, it solos, and when it's yellow, it mutes. So it's like this. Let me play. Now that way I can solo, but since it's not playing, so you can solo, then you can also mute, and when it's red, you can solo. And yeah, so that's really cool. That's super awesome to have in LK, and to be able to do that. And the integration with the Launchkey Mini is great. Now, the faders, they have different modes. Like they can work for panning. However, since LK, it's just a MIDI controller, it's not gonna pan it. So for example, right now it's set to panning. If I move this, whatever it is, there is no change in the panning for that one. If I choose volume, You can just mute it, I guess. Okay, let me. You don't really control the volume. You can mute. You can mute the. You can mute. Yeah. Also, let's get rid of this. Of my original loop. You can control the volume. You don't really control the volume, but you can just mute if you switch or if you go all the way down. And it's also supposed to control the device, panning, and a sense. But that doesn't really work with LK because it's not audio. So that's more for live. But you have a custom mode that you can then assign. For example, let's assign the first knob to the drum app, so I can assign that here. In there are many ways to do it, but my favorite one is just click on the title, the name of the track at the bottom, then click on the fader icon, and right now I just have the launch control selected to control things like in AUM. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the squiggly snake-like icon and choose the Launchkey Mini and the MIDI port. And then I go back to the original window that opens when you click on the faders mixer icon. And then if you click on volume and then click on learn, you can assign that to the knob. So I'm going to move the knob, and it says that it's already assigned to something else, which is the control frequency of Model D. That means that we have a conflict of interest. It means that this is sending CC21, and this is also sending CC21. So since it's not, to change the CCs, the number of CC of control change that the Launchkey Mini is sending, I have to go into the app. Actually, I don't have to go into app. I think I just go into a browser, go into the Novation site and get the page where you can change this. I'm not gonna do that. So yeah, if I change that, it's gonna be fun because listen to this. So I'm changing the. I'm controlling with the same knob. I'm controlling the volume of the noise drum app and also the filter for Model D. That is unfortunate because we have the same CC numbers coming out of the launch control and the launch Mini right now. I wonder, however, this is something I haven't tried. If I use the device mode, I wonder what's the CC that it's sending. So let's say it doesn't send a CC. Oh yeah, it sends CC1. But it doesn't work. That's so weird. No, it doesn't send any CCs if you're using one of the modes for live. That's interesting. Alright, so let me stop these clips. And yeah. The rest of the controls, like the transport, the octave, and the program change, work just the same as with any other synth. And one thing that you can check out in other videos is also the arpeggiator. It's really cool. It has this mutate thing, which is it can create melodies. Let me start the arpeggiator. I have set it to latch, so right now it's latch. if you click here, and there's a key that says latch, it latches the arpeggiator. And there are two really cool features in this arpeggiator. One is deviate and the other one is mutate. When they are enabled, you can change the tempo. That is just 16 notes, but if you move the knob while you're pressing ARP, or you double tap on ARP, and you move the deviate knob, it changes the tempo, and it kind of creates like random rhythm. And if you move the mutate knob, it changes the pattern. The other, it's kind of like a random, but it's not really random because it adds notes that you didn't play. So it's really interesting. That's awesome. That's an awesome feature for this controller. It also has a strum mode. I don't remember how to use the strum mode though. Is it this one or this one? Oh yeah. If you hold ARP and you press the this B flat, the last B flat key on the keyboard, you can play a chord and then use the modulation strip to strum. That's really cool. Also in LK, I didn't really use a lot of clips, but you can also, if you press Shift and then this is to go up and this button is good to go down, you can you can have more than just the first row of pads to control the clips. So like right now I have this ones, but let's say I want to add another bass line. So I just click Shift and the down key, and then arm the, oh no, arm. Yeah, it's weird. There were many things arm. So you can change clips like that. And that's my review. Basically, that's my review of the Launchkey Mini. It's an awesome controller if you're using the iPad, and especially if you want to use LK. It's really awesome. You can also use the pads to control, like if you want to do finger drumming, you can also use it here on the iPad. Let's stop this and let me open up BeatHawk. So, and let's load a acoustic drum kit. Okay. All right, so now let's tell the Launchkey Mini to control that. And we're going to tell it to just control it through channel 10. Okay. So now if we go to drum mode, oh, it doesn't work. That's interesting. I hadn't noticed that either, but if you're using LK, you have the 3 modes for the controller, which is session, drum, and custom. I mean, for the pads. Session is to control the clips. Drum gives you kind of like the it's mapped to a drum rack in Ableton, the way the rack works in Ableton. But you can also use a custom. Unfortunately, you cannot use a drum mode in here when you're using LK, but you can also use a custom one. So I can let's go back here and let's use no. Let's I mean, the way I set up my custom pads is not very conducive. It's not exactly great for finger drumming because I have the hi-hat all the way over here. But you can also so you can finger drum with this controller as well, and they are velocity sensitive, as I try to demonstrate. But I didn't say anything, so yeah, they're velocity sensitive. And I don't know if it's great for finger drumming. I mean, I like them. I could use them for finger drumming, but I'm not a finger drummer, so I don't know if the velocity settings on it's great. But I really like it, and that's basically everything. Well, what I've been doing with this controller, and it's awesome. You can also, unfortunately, something I don't like about the controller is that you cannot, when you have a custom mapping of these pads, you cannot set it to send CCs, which would be really cool to send CCs instead of just notes. But yeah. I don't know. I forgot what I was going to say, but that's the thing. That's a bad thing about it. Something I don't like. The feeling, I mean, it's a very cheap keyword, so I think I like how it feels. It doesn't feel any different from the Akai MPC Mini, which was the last controller I had, and it's still working. I gave it to my roommate, and she still uses it for her sets. So, and that one I got it used, so those ones are really durable, and I don't feel any difference between these keypad and that other one. And the pads feel a little bit better. Like they have more tactile feedback than the Launchpad Pro that I have, so I like that too. And those are the things that I can use in this Launchkey Mini. I don't use a fixed chord function that much, but it's really cool. Like if you press it and then you play a chord, then it's gonna play that chord in every single key. So I guess let's play a C major chord, and then that should be a D major. Okay, let's play a sus4 chord. And I am Keith Emerson. Anyway, so I don't use it a lot, but it's really good to have it there too. And that's my review for the Launchkey Mini. You should definitely get one if you are if you want a portable controller. It's very versatile. You can do a lot of things. And if you have an iPad with LK in it, by the way, the Matrix function in LK is an in-app purchase. I don't know how much it is, but it's definitely worth it if you want to try live looping with MIDI. Like I said, it's something that I want to underscore, stress, or to just emphasize is that you don't need to pre-select how many bars you want to record. You can just record. Hit record in the clip, and then hit it again, and it will start looping for as many bars as you did that. And it doesn't have to be bars. You can also set the trigger quantize to down to a 30-second of a note, or 30-second of a beat. So it's really cool. You can have polyrhythms with this, so it's great. And yeah, so today is Bandcamp Friday, and as you can read probably in the description of the video, I haven't had any work since December the 17th. So I'm running out of money for food and rent and everything. So if you would like to help, if you're kind enough to want to help, you can go to Bandcamp, to pedeplei.bandcamp.com, and buy something there. Today, all the money that you spend there, it goes directly to me. And if you want to learn how to use, if you have a Launchkey Mini but you're having problems how to set it up with an iPad or with Ableton Live, you can also send me a message, and we can set up some lessons for you. If you want to learn how to use the iPad for music production, for live looping, if you want to try live looping too, we can also do that. I can hit me up in my social media, send me a message or in a comment. Just leave a message, and I'll try to contact you, and we can start having some lessons for that. And also, if you want to learn how to live stream stuff, like I'm doing right now, with OBS, if you need to use OBS but you still haven't gotten around to learning it, I'll be happy to teach you. Yeah, so just leave a comment, send me a message, and we can talk about it. There's also a Fiverr gig I have. If you want to, if you have a video and you need some dark, moody, experimental music to go with it, you can also hire me for that. So thank you very much if you're watching this, and thank you very much to anyone who dropped by or is dropping by, or just thank you for everything, I guess. So I'll see you later.